name is Mike Snyder-Barker, and we are here at Studio C, the listening room.
Hey, and I'm Andy Schiller.
And this is our good friend John Finan.
Round of applause.
And congratulations for saying it correctly, because I always get Finan or Finian. Finian I get. Finnegan every now and then. So where do you get the extra letters?
Right, there's tons of extra
Finan.
letters.
Yes. So I always tell people it's financial without the show.
Right.
Wow.
Or without the money. That's
Right,
exactly
right.
better.
That sounds better. You know, I think we became Facebook friends before we actually met in person.
I think you're right, because we had a lot of connections through our mutual friends in Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Shannon Lee and Scott Fishkind and Stuart Benbow I've known for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
And
a variety of people who Scott and Stuart have been on this show.
Okay.
Yeah. Recently, actually.
Yeah, I know Stuart just did the sound, I think, for Apple Lumpkin, didn't he?
For one of the stages.
Okay.
We had 3 stages. I did sound for one on one day, a guy named Carl Saturday, and then Jonathan Gardner did both days on the other stage.
I haven't met Jonathan yet, but
Yeah, but it's been great getting to know you. I think I got to know you a little better when we did a Songwriters in a Round,
yep.
and that was fun.
Yep, got to meet a few people there.
Yeah, so tell us about yourself and your musical path.
Well, I've been playing probably since I started, I think, when I was around 6 or 7.
Wow, that's
and
early.
that was under duress. My grandmother in Cambridge had a boarding house, and one of her tenants had what I found out later was a Fender Jaguar guitar. I remembered the shape of it later. And my father was horrified. He walked in and saw me messing with it and said, "If you're going to do that, you need to take lessons." I said, "Sure." Well, my father, he was, he had a good heart about it, but he got me a steel string guitar, which on 7-year-old fingers sucks.
So, Nylon's better to start.
Exactly. So I took lessons, and I'm paying for these, you're going to practice. And I did, and I was not happy. And we were still living in New Jersey at the time. I turned 10 years old. We moved to Michigan. A couple years later, fingers were a little stronger. Hey, I remember these chords. Took lessons again. Actually took jazz lessons at Fava Music out in Birmingham. And as I got into middle school and high school, I realized, hey, girls like this. So I was in bands. I was writing songs back then. The music was pretty good. The lyrics all sucked. And
you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. But you learn from your failures, and I learned a lot. So
Wait.
There we go. Thank you.
You got to run out of failurs. You got to use them all up.
Oh,
and finally succeed.
I'm still working on those, believe me. And by the time the mid-90s rolled around, I was comfortable enough to think about recording. So the first CD came out, one called Observations and Complaints, in 1998. And
It's a great title.
It comes from a line of a song called "Party of One," which is about I call it my anthem for the antisocial. And but that was pretty much the story of it. And since then, there have been 4 more CDs. There's a 6th one in production right now, and it has been under production for the last several years, but people are getting to know the songs. Excuse me. And I have to remember, too, not to eat a whole bunch of the chips and salsa before coming over here.
Right.
So if
But
I break,
they're so good.
They're very, very good. Was it Salsaritas?
Salsaritas.
And they'll just keep bringing you more salsa the longer you sit there.
Thankfully, I didn't sit there too long. They have a wonderful margarita. I had a wonderful shrimp bowl, shrimp fajita bowl, I think it was. But yeah, the music, it's been going for quite some time. In the meantime, I've been lucky enough to have played with a lot of very good local musicians. I've done some kind of cool gigs. So yeah, I'm still doing it. I'm in my 60s now, and it's I feel like I'm finally starting to figure out what it is I'm doing. I'm making a little bit of progress.
Well, good,
So,
good. It's about
I have a
time.
question. So who is your biggest influence, or if someone said, who do you sound like? Who do you sound like?
As far as, I don't know if I sound like anybody. I can tell you about the influences, though. First really big one was Paul Simon.
Uh-huh.
And that was because I was listening to a lot of AM radio stuff when we came over to Michigan. My father's brother, my Uncle Tom, came over from Washington, came to visit us, and he said, "I heard you're playing guitar," and he brought me sight unseen, "Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme," and "Bridge Over Troubled Water."
Nice.
And my jaw hit the floor. It's still there. So I learned how to play probably about 70% of both of those albums.
That's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's a lot of fun. It's where I learned to play guitar. It's where I learned to play, sing harmony. From there, I went to the Beatles, a bunch of other ones. Probably the biggest of my current influences would be Richard Thompson. Not that I play guitar anything like him, but that's what I aspire to.
Fairport Convention.
Fairport Convention, and then onward into his solo stuff. I saw him open, I think, in the very early '90s for Crowded House, of all things, at the Fox Theater.
Interesting.
And yeah, I was there. I didn't really know too much about him. I'd heard the name. And this is one of those guys that will make you just want to cry and then make you pee yourself laughing in the same set. It's okay, that's the type of songwriter, that I want to
I don't think I want to see him. I don't want to pee my pants.
Well, hey, some people pay good money for that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Entertainment these days, it's an interesting thing.
It's a strange breed.
But
brew.
Anyway, but yeah, that's what my influences are all over the place. I play some piano, so I listen to a lot of Elton John and Joe Jackson, Billy Joel. Again, can't play. I took a little bit of piano lessons, just enough to learn the chords, and I can do a pretty mean crocodile rock, and I can actually think I can play Your Song pretty well. But I'm not going to put anybody out of business.
I don't think any of us are.
No.
I mean, you know how many guitar players, singers, songwriters there are in this part of the country?
A lot.
Oh man.
A lot.
Oh man, and we're trying to have them all on this this podcast. Each and every one of them.
You hear that, kids? Learn the bass or the drums. You'll have a job for life.
Or learn the flute so you don't have much to carry.
Yes. That's one of the nice things about getting to my age now. I don't have to worry so much about the heavy duty big tube amps anymore.
Oh boy.
Because when you're growing up, especially in the late '70s, everyone had to have the Marshall stacks.
Right, right.
I had a PD Classic, which was twin 12s and tube, and very, very nice, and heavier than God. My arms, I'm surprised, aren't 4 inches longer.
Right.
But these days, if I play electric, I'm playing with a Fender Mustang GTX, and it's a solid state, but it's a emulator. It gets me whatever tone I want.
It's about this big, this tall, and very light.
Mine's a little bit bigger. Mine's still about this big, but it's still very lightweight.
Yeah, I've got a Fender Mustang, but it's a smaller version.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that era was great, and in the late '90s, I had a rack, and so that was huge. Like, I don't know if it was 100 pounds, but it felt like it. In a 4x12 cabinet, and oh my gosh, you couldn't take it upstairs unless you had a second person, But a lot of bands these days are just going amp free, no speakers. You just use your in-ear monitors, and you're good to go. Everything's direct. But you can't always get that rock tone unless you're emulating it virtually, which virtually sounds just as good, right?
Virtually
I don't
does.
know about that. I have a pair of in-ears that I use for vocal stuff when I'm playing with my group, but I still, put the guitar through the amp. I should have gotten the in-ears years and years ago because I probably would have had probably about another octave of voice. But at least, and I always get crap from my smoker friends about this. I'm so glad that they passed the smoking ban in the bars.
Yes.
Because, when you go in there and you're not a smoker, and you have, smoke sensitivity, and you start off as a tenor, and you come out at the end of the evening sounding like Tom Waits, and it's not a good fit. No. So, it was particularly bad. I was in a band in the late, I want to say late 80s, early 90s. And we had a drummer who liked to smoke, but he would take one drag off a cigarette, put it on his ashtray, and would smoke there like incense. And of course, I'm right next to it. But I finally started bringing a fan and just blowing it towards him.
Good.
But it's like either smoke the damn thing or put it out. Jeez. You know.
Yeah, smoke and electronics don't go good. So if your amp's full of smoke, it's shortening its life, you know.
Right.
Absolutely.
So here's another question. So you mentioned that you're a songwriter, and I can see on your iPad there that you've got some stuff ready for us today.
Yeah.
So how many songs have you written?
Oh, I've written a lot as far as what I've recorded. 15 times 5, you do the math. It's been a long day. Something like that.
75?
Something like that. That sounds about right.
75 recorded tunes.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And there's, quite, well, it's, nothing compared to the folks who have, a little bit more regular about putting out recordings. But, yeah, I know some of my friends, Stuart Benbow and Scott Fishkind, they've been putting out albums like one right after the other.
Right.
And they're prolific as hell. I said, how dare you?
Right.
And they're so good.
They are. Those two guys, they're amazing.
And Stuart, I know, takes part in the, was it FALM?
Yeah, February Album Writers Month.
Yeah. And
So do I.
Well, I think I signed up for it once, and I realized I'm lucky if I finish, 2 or 3 a year. But at least the 2 or 3 a year that I finish up, I'm proud of.
Yeah. Well, I've made 14 just one time for the FALM.
Mm-hmm.
And they also do a summertime 50 songs in 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
I've never made that. Most I've gotten were about 31. And I would say out of FALM, out of that 14, I think I play 1 or 2 of them. Out of that 30 some, I think I might play out 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
But that's about it, and the idea is to write all this stuff in hopes of finding a gem.
I've been to songwriting retreats. I used to go to Lamb's Retreat.
Right.
I was going to that for probably about 11 or 12 years, and my finances dictated I had to kind of give that up for a bit.
Yeah.
But while I was there, you're familiar with the whole concept. They give you a prompt on Friday,
Right.
and then you have the entire weekend to study with the different faculty members they bring in and work on the song. And Sunday morning, you play it for everybody. And if you don't have your song ready, John Lamb makes you stay there until for another week until you do. Sorry, John, if you're watching this. That's not true, but it's daunting.
Yeah.
Because some of the times the prompts are bizarre. The better he knows you, the better he will kind of tailor it to you.
So he gives individual prompts.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
So a lot of times they will be in a theme. Like he had one that was my midlife crisis weekend, and everything had to do with some manner of midlife crisis type of thing. And sometimes it would just be very, very bizarre. And 1 or 2 of them I liked a lot. He went, I think, to Wikipedia at some point and drew up song prompts based on where you lived. I had just moved to Farmington, so he was giving me, the prompt had all sorts of these things about Farmington and the history. So I did a little bit of research myself, and what I came up with was something called Quakertown, which is what Farmington used to be called. Yeah. And I said, well, why did they change the name? And the way I kind of explained it was, well, they had no beer. There's no beer in Quakertown.
Right.
So, they had to change the name and get people to stay there.
But that sounds like a funny line in a song.
There's actually a song called that, which I did not prepare that one today, but you can do all sorts of stuff like that. And most of the songs I wrote there were throwaways. That one I will probably record at some point.
Yeah.
It's just twisted enough.
So you prefer to write songs that are a little twisted? Or that have twists?
I don't know about prefer. I'm probably known for the twisted material.
Okay.
Because the vast majority of what I write are things about relationships, love gone horribly wrong, just weird things that happen in relationships, and that's probably about 90% of my wheelhouse. but write a song about roadkill, and all of a sudden, hey, that's the one that sells the CD. So
Right.
yeah, so that song is Suicide Squirrel, and
Runs out in front of the car.
well, I had a friend of mine, I have a friend of mine, Leslie Frederick. She had a song called Tumble Dry Low, which is like an old Western type of thing. The chorus was Tumble Dry Low, yo-da-da-da-dum. And I was singing to myself, Suicide Squirrel, when these things would, run from. And after I did this for a couple of years, I said, I got to write my own damn song.
Right.
And I did. And that's what came out. And I wrote that probably about 20 years ago, finally put it out on the CD back in, 5-6 years ago, whenever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one everybody knows me for. It's, all these songs about relationships, about love and, passion and everything else. And Finan writes the one about roadkill.
Well, that's
And
a
that's
good
the one
one.
people like.
Well, again, it sells the CD.
But you also percolated on it for quite a while.
Once I started writing, it came out pretty quickly.
Ah.
The other one that was like that, it was an older song, and that was the closest thing I've ever had to a hit. It's in the same genre of rotting things, and that's called Refrigerator Science Project, which it's pretty universal no matter
Right.
where you live. And there was a company called mp3.com
Yeah.
back in the early 2000s, and I actually put it up on mp3.com.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the first ones that actually paid you for it, whatever pay is. For streaming.
.0001 for each 20 plays.
Well, this one you actually had to download it. This is before streaming
Oh,
really became
yeah.
a thing. It was kind of a precursor to Napster, really.
Gotcha.
But it was one that you could actually purchase the song. So this came out in 2001, 2002. I got a royalty check for $70.
Whoa.
I said, okay, that's kind of cool. mp3.com at the time had a demographics page telling you where the downloads were occurring.
Wow.
So okay, there were so I was taking a look at it. All right, America, this got we got a couple in Japan, a couple in Europe, but there were something like 9,500 of these from Afghanistan. So what the hell? Our troops who had just been deployed,
Right.
overseas for the
They
war.
liked the song.
Somebody got a hold of it, and because I can't imagine the Taliban, saying my crap.
Listening to
but,
rock,
the-
yeah.
and,
Got a whole big bunch of soldiers there singing Suicide
well,
Squirrel.
no, this was Refrigerator Science
Or,
Project.
yeah.
So the Taliban going run. No, that's not going to happen. But it was nice to know. I'm glad I did something for the troops.
Yep.
Probably the closest thing I'll ever get to doing USO.
Right.
But yeah, it's
That's a great story.
it's fun just to kind of say, okay, all of these things came from this area, but
But it makes sense.
but 10,000 plays, $70, which in today's terms is actually quite a bit.
That's a lot more
because-
than you'd get on Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify and Apple Music, which I prefer. And even then, it's like, okay, 0.00001 cent per
Per
stream.
1,000 streams.
Yeah. So that's why only one of the 5 CDs I have out now is on streaming.
Yeah.
I make more money actually just taking CDs to the gigs.
Oh,
And-
so you do.
Mhm.
I haven't. But you have great music.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you do. Hey, what's one of the most interesting places and experiences you've had performing live?
Either the greatest or the worst. Your choice.
Oh, I have band stories that could take up about 3 of these podcasts. The one I'm probably proudest of is I played at a public park in Plymouth on the 2nd anniversary of 9/11.
Oh,
I have a song called A Sky That Wasn't There, which I'd written right after that happened.
yeah.
And I'd grown up in New Jersey within sight of the Manhattan skyline and grew up seeing the towers. And to hear about that was,
Devastating.
and there was an article in the Metro Times about all of a sudden, certain parts of Manhattan were brighter because they'd been in the shadow for so long
Right.
of the towers. and it's this sky that they'd never seen before, a sky that wasn't there. So they invited me to play that, and I played for quite a few people out in the park there, which was very special at the time. As far as other gigs, I've had so many that have been really good. I've never really played for any huge crowds, but I always, the joke I always make about that is it's not the size of the audience, it's the quality.
That's right.
Right.
I keep that kind of thing in mind one of those nights where I'm playing in a bar for 4 people and then the bar staff. But I've had some big crowds too, and that's also when I'm playing with my group and with my singing partner. But yeah, and I also play with a group and a singing partner. So my singing partner is a young lady named Sharon C, and spelled T-S-E, not the letter C. And we started playing together back in the very late part of 2009, and we've been playing off and on as a duo since then. Through her, we met Sharon's cousin Amy and her husband Paul, and we formed a band called In Harmony's Way, which is pretty much it's a cover band, but we play pretty frequently out in Lake Orion and Oxford. Sharon has since retired from the band. She's doing other things right now, but she and I still play as a duo. So I play with Amy and Paul as a trio, and we actually have a fairly good, we're booked through most of next year. We've got something like 20 gigs between band gigs and my own.
Yeah.
But
20, did you just say 20 gigs?
yes. So they like us. So that's a combination of band gigs and solo gigs, because I do solo gigs there as well. They happen to like me as well. Alcohol works, what can I say?
There you go. So you're gonna do mostly original songs at your solo gigs? Or?
It depends where I play. If I play out at a bar like that, it tends to be probably about 50-50, and usually maybe even a little bit more as far as covers. It's a bar, people want to hear some stuff that they know.
Right.
If I have a smaller gig that is a little bit more listener friendly, a good example coming up would be I'm playing at Ipsy Ale House a week from Saturday, and that one will be primarily original music.
Okay, so that'll be the Saturday after this airs.
Yes, I believe so. But all of that stuff, by the way, I have a website, johnfinan.com, that has a calendar page on it, and that has all of my upcoming musical shenanigans.
Nice.
Cool.
So that is a good place to go look and see.
Do you ever do requests? Like, do people come up and ask you for a certain song, or
Like Freebird?
Freebird,
I say that.
Well, I actually, one of my friends from high school makes a point of requesting that, and I finally worked up a polka version that I played for him at
Nice.
like triple speed, and it's either that or I flip him off and say no charge. So
I've been thinking about writing a song called Freebird. That's totally a completely different song.
I've got half a song written, and I haven't finished, called Freebird.
I have a song called Paid Rehearsal, which actually kind of worked Freebird into it. So it's about the lousy gigs. It's about when you have people who are inattentive, or just behaving badly, or yelling Freebird.
Right.
How often have you played to people's backs?
Thankfully, not often. Well, I play to people's sides all the time, because if you're at a bar, people are either watching the game or they're having a conversation or something.
Yeah, there was a restaurant bar I played at in, I can't think of the community, but there are tables, and so they face both ways. So I've played to people's backs, who are facing the other direction.
Okay.
It was interesting.
That's weird. But
Last time I had, I was on stage and someone was like, "Hey, play Freebird," ha ha ha, and I was like, "Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Freebird." And but most people didn't get it, but
Aha.
that's an aha moment.
hopefully that makes it through the YouTube screening, and if it doesn't, we'll have to cut out that. It was less than 7 seconds.
Right. Such a-
And we could say that's just a musical homage. You know, I don't think the automatic listening bots are going to pick that up. So
You'd be surprised.
You know, those bots, they're in control.
well, it's I always say with the rise of AI, artificial intelligence is still no match for natural stupidity.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would say that AI will save us. All we need is an AI president. Yeah.
Oh,
it'd
don't
be
get me
better.
started on that guy.
Anyways, back to music again. So
You notice the shirt?
I see that.
Actually, this was a present. I found out later the quote was from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but the most recent song I actually put out was through David Roof and the Michigan Music Resistance.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I turned 60 years old, and I realized that most of the ills of the world, whatever political side you're on, whatever religious beliefs you have, are generally perpetrated by old white men.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, crap, I have just joined that demographic.
Yeah.
I'm not pleased about this. So I wrote a song called Old White Men, and I sat on it because, there's possibly a little bit of a political thing in there. I wrote it mostly about patriarchy. Then we had the election last year, and I said, I have a song that might work, because Dave Roof put something out saying, I think we need to revive the Michigan Music Resistance. And what that is, for anybody not familiar, David had put out this project back the first time that our current president was president before,
Right.
and said, we want songs of protest, pro-human rights,
Yep.
anti-fascism, and if you have such a song, I will record it for you for free and arrange it and everything else, and it'll be released, and the proceeds for any sales, downloads, whatever, will go to the ACLU, which I thought was fantastic. Well, he revived that back in November. I was the first to record it on the reboot, and I had a all-star group of players with me, of singers. David and I did the backing tracks and the lead vocal. We had Terry Burkett, who's a fine lead guitarist, came and did a scorching solo in that. And then we had the OWM Tabernacle, comprised of Candy Frederick, Sharon C., Amy and Paul from my band, Wolf Chiskowski, I always butcher his last name, Mike Ruprecht, I'm missing somebody, Bobby Pennick.
I know most of those people.
Yeah,
Probably,
and we made a loud and joyous noise, and I even got my first explicit content warning out of them, because there is a rather prominently uttered F-bomb in there.
Oh boy.
And I'd offer to play it for you. I don't know what your censorship, if this is supposed to be a PG.
I think we can get away with it.
Well, I can play it for you if you like. I don't.
Sure.
You can always just beep that moment.
yeah, before that though,
Okay.
I think the song that Andy and I and a couple other guys did for the project might have been within the top 5, of chronologically put out. We did this one called The Albatross. I wrote the words, and
I heard the Albatross. I like that song.
yeah, Andy's on the guitar in that one.
All right.
And Phil Mack is on drums,
Okay.
and Dave was on bass. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Dave.
let's hear yours.
Well, it's been a little while. I've only performed this. There's actually a lovely video that somebody shot right after I wrote it. Well, not right after I wrote it, but just before I recorded it. I just got together with Dave. It was Shannon Lee's homecoming party at her apartment, and big crowd there, big jam session. Most of the nitpickers were there.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of them adding percussion. Dave was playing lead guitar. There's a nice little video of me butchering the lyrics. Not going to happen tonight. I got the cheat sheet with me. This old white man feels so ashamed, being part of a group causing so much pain. Cause there's so many more causing so much grief, stealing from us all like a plain old thief. They're doing it now, they'll do it all again. God Almighty, God Almighty, God us from the old white men. You don't need this old white man to tell you so, but we've gone further back than we thought we'd ever know. George Orwell, what a prediction, but don't you miss the days when his books were fiction. They say what they want is to take the country back to where the leaders aren't female, foreign, or black, to keep everybody in an ignorant haze, or as they like to call it, the good old days. They're doing it now, they'll do it all again. God Almighty, God Almighty, God Almighty, save us from the old white men. You'll have to use your imagination right here, because this is where the scorching Thierry Burkett guitar solo would go. You don't need this old white man to tell you so, but we've gone further back than we thought we'd ever know. Margaret Atwood, what a prediction, but don't you miss the days when her books were fiction. This old white man wants nothing to do with keeping old white men at the front of the queue. Someone else take the wheel, I think that you should, before the old white men get up for good. They're doing it now, they'll do it all again. God Almighty, God Almighty, God Almighty, save us from the old white men. They're doing it now, they'll do it all again. God Almighty, God Almighty, God Almighty, save us from the old white men.
You know, that song could only be sung by an old white man.
I resemble that.
To me, that sounded like Crosby, Stills, and Nash a little bit.
Yeah.
David said the same thing, because he wanted to record it very much like an old CSNY protest song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Neil Young, yeah,
Mhm.
it has that kind of flavor.
Yep.
But more of a Stephen Stills voice.
You nailed it. Wow. What a great song. And your
Yeah.
delivery is top notch. Okay, now tell us about that guitar.
Oh, this is my Taylor 614 CE, politely known as my divorce settlement. Yeah, I got this back at not Hubert Reeves, Herb David Guitars,
Okay.
back in Ann Arbor. Herb's store is no longer there, unfortunately. But our friend Sue Nordman, I don't know if you remember Sue.
I remember.
Sue was working as a salesperson at the time. She sold me this guitar,
Yeah.
and I've had this since 2011.
Very nice.
And I like it a lot.
Did you work at Herb Davis in 2011?
I worked at Herb David from 1998 until 2000, and I taught lessons upstairs on the very top floor and had a few students.
I kind of miss Sue.
I miss her too. I know she's living out west. She got married. She's doing pretty well. I guess she had some problems with her hands.
Oh, no.
She had some hand surgery or something not too
Yeah.
long ago. So and she was working on her art out there, I think. But
Right. Was it in Arizona?
she is in New Mexico, if I'm not mistaken.
I was close.
Yeah, it's one of several. I've still got two Ovations from many years ago. And in the electrical department, I have a Paul Reed Smith single cut McCarty SE. I have my Pride and Joy, which is my Rickenbacker 66012. So I use that primarily with my group when we are doing Beatles and Birds material.
Right.
I have a Godin.
Classical.
It's a nylon string, but it's also electric, and it has the synthesizer. It's got the.
Oh, you've got one of those.
Yes,
Okay.
I do, and I've got a old Roland guitar synth. I
Neat.
forget the model number, but it's vintage, late '80s thereabouts, and it has a bunch of very, very cool string and sitar sounds, which is kind of cool because when we were doing that era of material. The only thing I don't like about it is the piano samples on there sound like '80s piano, which is
It's yeah.
You know, it sounded good in the '80s.
it probably sounded lovely in the '80s. However, I actually like the sound of a real piano, and they've thankfully made much more progress now with the samples that they use in their digital keyboards. But yeah, it's it's fun to play. I could get a Steinway sound, but I'd have to bring my computer and MIDI cables and everything else, and I'm already bringing way too much
You have
stuff.
time to run back home and get it?
No.
That guitar sounds great.
I like it.
It's
It's
a 614.
614 CE, which I should have changed the strings on before I came over because I'm just looking at the. But it is well used.
It doesn't
sounded
look like
just
it has
fine.
a scratch on it.
Oh, it's got wear. So, yeah, but I like it.
This is your workhorse.
This is my workhorse. I also still have my Ovation standard balladeer. I like recording with that one actually because plugged in, it sounds like $1,000,000, and you can do anything you want with it. I love the tone on the guitar, but the output on the Expression 2 systems is pitifully low. I have to go through a pedal or something like that to give it some sort of preamp. But it's other than that, I do love how it plays, love how it sounds.
I had a Taylor once, and just remember, kids at home, play the guitar before you buy it. I'll never again buy a guitar from a magazine or website and then have it shipped to my house and then play it and go, oh no, something's wrong with it.
Yes.
So don't do that.
I think of it as the wand chooses the wizard. Because I played, prior to getting this one, I played a lot of Martins, I played some Gibsons, I played a couple of the Ovations, and I settled on this one. I just played it for a while, and then a while turned into 2.5 hours, and Sue's looking at me like, I think you found your guitar. So I think you're right.
Or you think your guitar found you?
Pretty much. So
I'm kind of partial to the Martins. This size, the smaller size. I have 2 of them.
yeah, the only thing I love the tones of Martins as well. I have to have cutaways these days because I play enough stuff up here that and I've written enough stuff that's up in the neck a little bit that I have to have that now. So
Why don't you play us another song?
I can do that. Well, I will play the other one referenced earlier. I'm going to take a swig first. I have a rule when I do my shows. I always cry out to the audience, swig. And that's, if you come to enough of my shows, you get in the habit of doing that because I have to hydrate, and especially now after the big Mexican meal.
Right.
But when you're in a bar especially, get people drinking early.
Yep.
By the end of the show, you sound terrific. Even when you bugger it up, you sound terrific.
Right.
You could be up there going, and you're like, yeah, more, man.
I want to play to that audience.
Well, play more bars, you will. This song took on some interesting life recently too, because the last couple of times I played it once about a year ago at Ipsy Ale House, which is where I'm playing in a couple of weeks. And Candy Frederick and my friend Aaron, and I think, who's the fellow who's there all the time? Ted, thank you.
Ted
we had,
Badgerow.
yeah, so we had a dance party for the song. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is kind of cool. And then I'm thinking, this is also a song about roadkill.
Very nice.
Wow.
So yeah, I write all sorts of love songs and everything else, and that's the song you're remembered for. It's like, I feel bad. The guy I guess that goes through that quite a bit would be somebody like Loudon Wainwright III,
Right.
who is a
right.
wonderful, is a wonderful songwriter. All these thoughtful songs, all these great stories, and dead skunk in the middle of the road.
It's what he's known by. You know.
But I grew up with listening to Tom Lehrer, Dr. Demento, and all of the, not so much Weird Al. Weird Al just did parodies, but the folks who were doing just twisted songs all of their own.
Right.
And
it makes me think it'd be kind of fun to do a twisted song open mic.
talk to Chris McGorry about that, because I think a long time ago he did that. He did Twisted Christmas a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
I contributed a song. It was about, shall we say, suggestive placement of mistletoe.
I did a funny Christmas song last year. It was Carol of the Jingle Bells. It was Jingle Bells and Carol of the Bells sung at the same time.
Oh, cool.
It was unlistenable. I won't play it for you, okay? I'll save you from the torture.
I've got a 1 gig a month at the Ale House. Maybe I'll take one of those and see about doing a twisted open mic.
Count me in. Let me know.
All right. Because I've got a handful of twisted songs. I don't know if that sounds atypical of someone like me.
Well, not necessarily. I don't know a whole lot of your material, but what I've heard, it's I hear the twisted in there.
All right.
My twisted respects your twisted.
Most of my twisted songs are with Barker and Brodsky.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some on my my solo work, but man, we got twisted in that group.
You need to get twisted every now and then. With everything in the world, you got to be able to laugh once in a while.
Yeah.
And I see so many songwriters out there, even ones that I like a lot, but after a while it's like, pick it up a little bit, lighten the mood.
Right.
So that's why one of the other reasons this song is not the song, the upcoming album is taking so long. I had a plethora of sad songs.
Yeah.
Because I'd gone through a breakup and everything was coming out. I didn't want people to hang themselves after hearing the album. So I kind of started writing some happier ones, and it worked. I've got some ones that are a little bit more positive. There's one about sex in the graveyard, and but
it sounds like personal experience.
But
we don't tell.
No.
I think I had a similar revelation looking at my set list one time, because someone came up to the stage in between songs and said, "Don't you know any happy songs?"
Mm-hmm.
And at first my feelings were hurt, like, hey, stick around, I'm sure you'll hear something you like. But then I went home and I looked at my set list, and it was minor, 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 minor. And then I said to myself, oh no, maybe they're right. You can't just only play songs in a minor key all night long. It's got to be maybe a little bit more variety than that.
Or at least put your sad songs, your breakup songs in a happy key or in a rock and roll setting.
Right.
That was one of my favorite songwriters is Elvis Costello. And you hear so many of his songs, you read the lyrics and they're pissed off sounding and they're upset. There's some very dark things happening, but they're poppy and they're catchy. And I'm dancing to what? So it's
What is so funny about Peace, Love, and Understanding?
Well, actually, the guy you have to ask about that is Nick Lowe, because he actually wrote that song. But that was one of my favorite concerts, by the way. I was lucky enough to see Elvis Costello solo at Hill Auditorium in 1989 with Nick Lowe opening.
Nice.
And Nick used to produce Elvis.
Right.
So, and of course, they got together at the end of the evening and played each other's songs back and forth, and it was absolutely fantastic.
I really like Nick Lowe.
Nick Lowe has grown into his age. He kind of has the crooner thing going these days, but the songs are still so good.
Right.
And I think it's also hilarious that he's also playing with Los Straitjackets. And for those people not familiar with that, it's a group of Latino guys in Mexican wrestler masks
Oh, right.
who play his older material absolutely perfectly. And just a little unexpected. So you got all these, guys looking like, Mexican wrestlers with guitars.
Are they playing like the big bass guitar and there's traditional?
No, not the mariachi style. Just
Oh.
just plain old. Just everything else. They're in suits. They would be otherwise respectable looking, except for the masks. And then you've got this big beanpole in the middle, which is Nick.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And I say that with respect because I always looked up to him.
Yeah.
I saw Elvis Costello at Red Rocks.
Ooh, yes, that would be a wonderful place to see him. I want to get I've got a couple friends of mine who have the bumper sticker that says, "I may be old, but I've seen all the good bands."
Right. That's a good one.
So I'm lucky enough to have seen Elvis 3 or 4 times now. I've seen Tom Petty several times. I was lucky enough to see Frank Zappa.
That is fortunate. Yeah. I've seen Dweezil.
Haven't seen Dweez yet, but I saw his dad a bunch of times, and I have several memories about that. The stage length clothesline behind the drum risers with all of the underwear that he had collected from audience members.
Gross. Did he wash them?
I did not ask. I do not want to know. And of course, one of them is something that was approximately this wide with the word Emma tattooed on there. He's a song called "I've Got a Big Dilemma for My Big-Legged Emma." And I think one of his live albums has the Madison Panty Sniffing Festival, which was something that he was doing on stage. He had the turtles helping him out sniffing underwear, and we got China syndrome over here. It's like it's been eaten through.
Yikes.
So, one of Andy's favorite questions.
Yes.
Is, drum roll please, do you write the words first, or do you write the chords first, or do you write them at the same time?
95% of the time, the words come first. I grew up listening to. I love a catchy melody and everything, but one of the things that got me into writing, thinking about my lyrics a little bit more. When Toto's first album came out, I loved the song "Hold the Line" because it had great big power chords, yo, do, and just great hook, great sounding guitars. And then I sat down and read the lyrics. It's not in the way that you hold me. It's not in the way that you care. It's not this. Hold the line. Love it. Love isn't always on time. What the?
It happens to rhyme.
It rhymes, but, and then you read the lyrics of Bob Dylan or Bruce Springsteen or the Beatles when they were, something other than "I Am the Walrus."
Right.
And, you realize there's some thought that goes into this. There's some poetry that goes into this.
Yeah.
I was already writing poetry in school anyway, so I wound up putting that to music. But when I'm writing what I hope are going to be lyrics, I always have at least a rhythm in my head. I don't necessarily have a melody. And I'll accumulate these or get them partially done. On my phone right now, I think I've got about at least half a dozen partially written songs or song ideas. And just because of my life these days and time and availability. But when I finish them, it's like, okay, this looks like it's complete. Bring out the guitar, and usually within half an hour, I've got a full song.
Nice.
So the music always comes pretty quickly. But
because you've already got the song in your head.
Not necessarily the song, not even the melody, but at least the rhythm. I can write in a rhythm, and that helps a little bit. But everybody's different. I know people who write the music first, and then they kind of fashion words to it. And the words, you read them afterwards, and they're fine. There's nothing dumb about them or anything like that. Everybody's poetic, but that's just not how I am wired.
Well, I get that.
That was a great answer.
Well, yeah, being historically a percussion player, drummer, I always just wrote lyrics, so I didn't know how to construct the music.
Neil Peart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then I learned how to play guitar, and he was my teacher. And now I've written some really interesting songs and some really not interesting songs.
We have all of the above. That's
But you won't hear the not interesting songs.
likewise here.
Yeah.
You know, most of my duds are still, tucked away safely and away from public consumption.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Andy, you had a
So-
trivia question.
So last week, everybody, the trivia question of the week was, what is the longest name of a song ever for a #1 hit song? Okay, but you can't count compound words, which are just like a sentence with the spaces taken out. That doesn't count.
And
And
it was
also,
It was not Inagata Devita.
it was not because I don't think that was a #1 song.
Oh, right, right.
Besides, there's a space, I think, in that. And
I don't know
then,
about a space, but there's a lot of hyphens, a lot of
A lot of
dashes. in there.
hyphens.
so it's not supercalifragilistic because that wasn't a #1 hit song. So, and there's a Prince song that's just a whole bunch of words in a row with no spaces, but that doesn't count as one word. So I guess it depends on how you define what is one word. So I guess the best answer is Congratulations by Cliff Richard. It's a 15-letter word. So that was kind of an obscure one.
Very, yeah.
But let's move on to the next trivia question. Okay, so I was going to ask, who is the youngest person to ever record a #1 hit song? But everybody knows the answer already, right? Stevie Wonder. So that was easy. So
How old is Stevie? Because there's got to be.
he was 13 when he recorded the song Fingertips, and that was a #1 hit song.
Yeah.
And so he's the youngest person ever to have a #1 hit song. Little Stevie Wonder.
Probably a close second would have been somebody like Donny Osmond.
Probably,
I
yeah.
was thinking Donnie or the Jacksons.
Well, the Jacksons, Michael didn't do too much solo stuff until a little bit later on in his career.
Right.
But Donnie had a couple of #1 things early on. He did some solo albums along with the, and I have no idea why I know this, but
But interesting trivia.
Yeah.
Donny Osmond called my sister.
Hmm.
My sister was the president of his fan club, had converted to being a Mormon or Latter-day Saint, and she was in a car crash.
wow.
And so he called to express his concern. And I was actually there when the phone call occurred, which I thought,
Wow.
man, that must have just lifted my sister's heart sky high.
Yeah. Well, the actual trivia question of the day that I'm going to pose to the listening audience is, who is the oldest person to ever sing a #1 hit song? And it's a little bit of a trick question because the song didn't reach #1 when it was first released. It reached #1 at a later date. However, when the song was released and when it became a hit, she was still the oldest.
So it was a female.
Oh, darn, I let it slip.
Good job.
Okay, she was the oldest, so there's a clue.
Okay.
And so don't Google it. See if you can figure it out.
That's right.
Oldest lady to sing a #1 hit song.
And write the answers down here.
Sorry, there's not a prize other than bragging rights.
Right. And, don't forget to like and subscribe and, all that other good stuff.
Hey, and if you join the channel for $5, you can unlock a little bit of hidden content where some of the players do cover songs or, a special little performance that we couldn't put in the full interview section. Plus, there's a whole bunch of guitar lessons and stuff in there if you want to learn how to play better.
And there's a video of my bare feet.
No, there isn't.
Isn't that what called the agony of defeat?
That's right. I called it that.
Okay.
And now moving on to the next segment. Hey, we didn't do the King Crimson segment yet, so we have to mention King Crimson in every episode.
Every episode. Oh, that's One More Red Night? No.
Frame by frame.
Frame by frame, yeah. Adrian Ballou.
He's
That's
a
what I was-
monster of a player.
Oh,
So-
did you get to see Beat when they came through here?
I saw them. It was the Beat tour at Pine Knob.
Well, no. What I was referring to, I saw the Beat tour. Actually, I saw the Three of the Perfect Pair.
Okay, that's
That
what
was
I
my
saw.
first Crimson show, and
Yeah.
I've seen every one of them that's come through here. But there was also the offshoot that happened 2.5.
Right, without Fripp.
Yeah, so that was with Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, Steve Vai, and Danny Gatton from
Was
Tool.
Gavin Harrison on drums?
No, Danny. I want to say Danny Gatton, but Tool's drummer.
Okay.
So, and they pulled it off perfectly. They were very faithful to the original material. Obviously, they had a lot more fun with it. What I loved about that one was they weren't quite as strict. They were able to loosen up a little bit. When you see King Crimson,
With Fripp.
Fripp is a little bit more formal.
Yeah.
Very much, we want you to enter it with your ears, and we don't have any on-stage banter or anything like that. They just play the music. They'll take a couple of bows, let people take pictures at the very end, and these guys just had fun.
Yep.
And it showed. It was a wonderful show.
Last time I saw King Crimson, they had the 3 drummers.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was they
That
came
was in
through
Ann Arbor.
Meadowbrook when they came through.
Oh, I saw him in Ann Arbor at.
Yep, I was
State
at that show
Theater.
too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I didn't see you there.
so there was, if you look, Tony Levin took the pictures of the audience.
yeah.
I am in one of his pictures.
Oh, nice.
I'm actually in the last one, which was at Meadowbrook, and I'm in the front row. I treated myself to a VIP that night.
Oh, very nice.
So
So you're a slightly bigger King Crimson fan than I am.
I don't know about bigger, but I am
Well,
definitely a fan.
You're willing to spend the extra money.
I
And you've
went.
been- I've only seen him twice.
I've I think I've caught every show that they've done since 1984.
I did see the Adrian Belew trio with the Stickmen, where they each had a set, and then they all 6 of the people came together and played Crimson stuff. That was at the Magic Bag or Magic Stick in Ferndale.
That's Magic Bag.
Magic Bag. Yeah.
I've seen Adrian Belew there. Wasn't with the Stickmen. And I've seen Fripp. He was doing the League of Crafty Guitarists. That was
nice.
his students. He brought that to one of the auditoriums at U of M, and he was just talking about the new tuning, and basically it was a bunch of guys playing, and mostly guys playing in Fripp's tuning, and I guess 3 of them went on to form the California Guitar Trio.
I've seen the California Guitar Trio at the Arc.
Yes,
You were there too?
I was.
Yeah.
So what is Fripp's tuning?
I forget what it is, but it's all in fifths. Much higher up here and much lower down here.
Get it?
And it sounds lovely, but it takes a little bit of
So
adjustment.
hey, if you played violin or cello, then it probably seems pretty familiar.
Thanks, Andy, for getting that started. I always love a good King Crimson conversation.
I am a King Crimson fan that way. I tried the new standard tuning, is what he calls it, a couple of times.
The new standard tuning.
That's what he calls
Okay,
it.
well that's a stretch, but hey, keep trying.
But this is Fripp.
This
This
is
is
Fripp.
Right.
And there was also a great documentary that came out 2 years ago. The Court of the Crimson King, King Crimson at 50. It's on the I think it's available on streaming now.
I'll have to watch it.
It's very good.
Which was your favorite makeup of the group?
The one that stuck with me the most was the first one that I saw, and that was the 4-piece with Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, Bill Bruford, and Fripp.
I love that group. But then there was the John Wetton, Bill Bruford, Robert Fripp,
In Red.
Trio Red, yeah, and they had David Cross on
Violin.
on violin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original 1 or 2 albums with Greg Lake also singing on that one.
Yeah.
But the last iteration that they did with Jocko and on vocals, he did a pretty good job as far as resurrecting the vocals of the old material.
He did, and I saw that was he sang with them for the 3 drummer gig, but I've been listening to him with all the ex Crimson members,
Mm-hmm.
minus Fripp, and I don't think Ballou or Tony Levin were involved with that one.
No. Well, if you watch that documentary, they go into a little bit of. I guess they have a. Fripp comes across as a control freak.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do anything to dispel that. They also spent some time talking with Bill Rieflin, who was very, very sick with cancer at the time,
Yeah.
and also passed away during the filming of the documentary. So it was a little bit bittersweet to it.
I'll check it out.
But it's a very, very good documentary. A lot of old footage, a lot of footage from the last tour. One last thing about the final concert that I saw, I was sitting in the front row. So you had mentioned the drummers were all in the front. I'm looking at a bass drum for
Yeah.
most of the show.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm looking forward to seeing, checking out guitar gear and stick gear and everything else. I'm looking at a bass drum.
The drummers were in the front?
They were.
Yes.
3 drummers in the front, and they were
Okay.
on a riser.
So they basically reversed the whole, traditional setup. All of the melodic instruments, vocal and everything are all in the back. Drummers in the front.
Yeah.
You know, in hindsight, we have had one guest on the show that tunes their guitar in straight fifths. Jordan Shug.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, jazz guy. Actually, he mostly plays bass, but he tunes his bass to fifths, which is pretty different for playing an electric bass.
That is.
If it gives him the sounds that he wants to get, then that's the important part.
Well, I think I'm ready to hear another one of your songs.
Well, this is going to be on the new one. This is actually a song that I'd written for somebody I hadn't met, or somebody I didn't really know. One of my coworkers was dating an older woman. He's probably in his 20s or something like that. And he was dating an older woman who had been through a great deal of bad history. She had apparently a fiance who took his own life. She got married. That husband passed away of cancer. She had just gone through a terrible breakup before, meeting my coworker. And he's going on about how positive she was throughout this whole thing, how unjaded she was. And I thought, okay, that's bravery. Because at that point, I think at any point in that history, if I'd been in a similar situation, I would have said, I'm done. But
easy to say.
So I wrote this as a song of comfort, and I had several friends of mine who had been through some bad breakups and things of their own, and were trying to move on, and this turned out to be something that was meaningful to them. So been through some hard times, more than had by most. You've fallen hard when you're in love, each one now a ghost. But you pick yourself back up, love your children and your pets, and you hold yourself together without pity or regrets. There you are, you're still free to be who you need to be. There you are. You've had so many troubles that have gone from bad to worse, as though you've made some enemy within the universe. But you still hold your head up when your heart just wants to fall, and you find out that you're stronger than your troubles after all. There you You're still free to be who you need to be. There you are. Don't be afraid. It's just a passage through the pain. Don't be afraid. The light you're seeing down that tunnel is no train. You've heard too many noises all the years you've been around. People spouting hatred seem to make the only sound. But you walk away and find a way to drive it from your ear. Let the music in your own heart be the loudest sound you hear. There you are. You're still free to be who you need to be. There you are. You're still free to be who you need to be. There you
Wow. I really like the ending of that song. There was some Paul Simon moves in there on the guitar.
I blame him completely. If I stole any chords from him, I'm quite proud to do it. So
Yeah.
I really liked, there was some word painting in there. Like when you got to "Don't Be Afraid," you played a diminished chord at that moment. Hey, there needs to be more diminished chords in songs. It's more rare these days, I think.
I've been listening to a lot of XTC over the last few years, and Andy Partridge likes to throw those in odd places, and I said, okay, that kind of worked there. So
Cool.
What a beautiful song.
thank you.
I could really feel what she was going through.
Well, I don't know. I will never know myself what she was going through, but if anybody needed a word of comfort or encouragement, I spend so much time, in my own head and looking at my own navel. It's nice to be able to kind of reach out to somebody. So
Yeah, it is. It is a very comforting song.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And then I write songs about roadkill.
Where do we go from there, man?
Yeah, it's really hard to follow that. That was an amazing song. Thanks for sharing it with us.
So we can just talk about farts now.
Valencia.
Little Monty Python,
Oh, that's all right. I usually close a lot of my shows with a medley of "Always Look at the Bright Side of Life," and I usually throw in a chorus of "Sit on My Face" in there. So,
yeah, that's good. That's good. I don't know if we can go anywhere else after that.
I know why you'd want to after that particular image. Follow up.
Just finish with this. Good night.
That would be more like a. No, it's wrong key, John.
You sure it wouldn't be more like just this?
I can name that song in 6 notes.
Correct.
E minor 7, sus 4.
Right, that's exactly what I was thinking it would be. But what if we do something like this? We're just sitting here at Studio C, the listening room, Andy and Mike, and our good friend John.
It's episode 41.
Episode 41, Singing the Blues. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
I'm Mike Snyder Barker,
I'm Andy Schiller.
and this is our good friend John Finan. John Finan. I had it right at the beginning. Our good friend John.
And we'll see you in episode 42.
Woohoo!